Trim around the side of the office and around the front of that, around that little bit of stuff around that tree right there. If it'll start.
I don't know why you want me to do it on film, because you know it ain't gonna start.
Well.
Woo, fix that thing. Woo.
Dude, are you all right?
No.
Where did it hit you?
Right in the ribs.
All right, guys, time for a repair. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of Big South Outdoors TV. What you saw in the beginning of the video is a regular, everyday occurrence with this machine. It is a Stihl Stihl FS131R, and it has got horrible compression lock. Now, if you don't know what that is, compression lock is when the valves are out of adjustment and it's got so much, because it's still got good compression, when the valves are out of sync, they cause compression lock, and that's when you get that jamming effect like that. And it sometimes takes 15 to 20 pulls to get this thing to release, so the valves can move and release the compression where you can actually turn it over and get it to fire. But there's also another issue that might be occurring, and if it is, that is something I cannot fix. But we're going to look into both of them today. We're going to be adjusting the valves, and we're going to be looking at the keyway on the flywheel to make sure it is not twisted or broken or malfunction in any way. The other thing we're going to be doing on this video is we're going to be doing a carburetor swap, because I noticed the other day when we were trimming, the carburetor is starting to leak, and that happens with non-ethanol gas. Now, before anybody says anything, I will not use True Fuel, and the reason why is I will leave a link in the description box below for the channel that you can go to. The channel's name is Chickanic. She talks about True Fuel. It is junk, and I will not run it in my machines. Now, there's going to be a lot of people comment and say, well, I use True Fuel all the time and I've never had any problems. Well, good for you, but I trust her, and I also trust Mower Medic 1, and I'll leave a link to his channel below in the description box also, and both of them say, do not put that crap in your engine, because it will ruin it, and I'm not going to do it. Now, to address the other issue, non-ethanol gas. The closest place to me, where my shop is, that has non-ethanol fuel is 30 miles away. I'm not driving that far just to get non-ethanol gas 2 or 3 times a week. It doesn't make good business sense. So I do what I can to keep the machines running, but there does come a time when a part has to be replaced. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So stay tuned. What you're going to need to get this job done is you're going to need a Stihl torch tool. It's got the torch head on this end. It's got the spark plug on this end. And what that fits, I don't know. This is the old style spark plugs. This is the one you use to take this spark plug out. But anyway, what you do is you take the cowl off and get everything, and then we'll get that done. So let me do that. All right, now the one thing you want to do, you want to make sure you put you keep your screws in order so you know exactly where they go. And you can see, let me get the camera, and you can see this unit is very dirty. Now, I had a man tell me one time, if a unit's clean, you're not working it enough. So there you go. But I'm going to get all this cleaned up, and what we're going to do, we're going to take this carburetor off and we're going to replace it. And this is the one we're going to be replacing it with. Here's the number. This is a Stihl Genuine part. I got it from the Stihl dealer. So you guys stick around. All right, guys, I got it clean. I just used some real gentle parts cleaner to clean it, and then I rinsed it off with a spray bottle of water. But I did cover this up before I sprayed water on it, because even though I'm replacing this carburetor, I still don't want water getting into the cylinder. So that's what I did. So let's get this thing disassembled. All right, now the one thing I like about this one, you don't have to remove this completely off. You can just set it to the side, and the carburetor, once you get everything disconnected, will slide right off. I know I'm not seeing things. There's a groove right there. Get that cable out on that. There we go. And that should be all that's holding the carburetor on, other than the lines. Now, the one thing you want to do, the very easy way to tell on a Stihl 131R is the front line right here on the gas tank goes to the white nipple down at the bottom. The inside hose, gas line, goes to the top black nozzle that goes to the primer bulb. That's a very easy way to do it. I like the way Stihl did that. So let's see if we can remove this booger. Is there something else holding it on? Well, yeah, I guess there is. That thing's got to be taken off on the bottom. Oh, it's one of them curly Q things. Let me get up and see if I can. On the bottom. But this is, yeah, it's going to have to come off. Guys, let me get a pair of pliers. All right, guys. I got the carburetor off, but I quite literally had to go through an act of Congress to get this thing off. I do not understand why Stihl makes so much difference in design between the 91R and the 131R. I don't know about the 111, but these two, they're completely different. When you this throttle cable right here, there's no linkage on a 91R that controls the throttle like there is on this one. And you quite literally, I mean, I even tore up one of the hoses trying to get it off. Matter of fact, I just had the thing. What'd I do with it? Well, where did it go? Oh, there it is. You see that? I broke the end of that off. Matter of fact, it's still on the carburetor. Right there. It's still on there. You have to be really careful with what you use to pull those things off with, because if you don't, that will happen. But you always keep extra line in stock. So what you have to do is have to go to your end right there, and I'm gonna make it just a tad bit longer, and then you just cut it off and put it back on there. I ain't gonna do that right this second, but I am gonna do it. So let me get what I need to get this thing, the new one, installed, and I'll be right back. A lot of mechanics don't like this yellow line. They say it collapses easy, but it depends on what wall thickness you get. This is thick wall. So again, you just take it and you measure it up on that nipple right there where the other line stops. You go to the top, and I'm gonna add about another 1/4 of an inch. You cut it clean, and that's all there is to it. Now, you do need to spread this thing out a little bit, because if you don't, it's going to be a bear getting it back on there. So let's get this thing put back together and we'll see what we got. All right, guys, I had to back up and punt. I quite literally had to cut that hose off of this nipple right here. This goes down into the gas tank, and this is where the fuel line goes. Well, if you look how big that is, that yellow line is not going to go on there. It's just too small on the interior. So I had to find some bigger line that I had, and I found it, and now I'm stretching it out to where it will go over that nipple. So that's going to be a slow process. You have to go up a little bit at a time until you can get it spread out enough to go in there, and it's not easy. So I'll bring y'all back when I'm actually getting ready to put it back together. I got the new hose in there, and putting it on this carburetor is not going to be an issue because that nipple is so small, but it's going to be tight enough it won't leak. So I'm going to get this thing mounted. I'll bring you back when I get the carburetor on it and get ready to put everything back on. All right, I finally got this thing hooked back up. The reason I didn't film it is because I quite literally had to do the funky chicken to get it in there, but I got it. The next step you do is you hook this thing back in here like this. Well, you gotta put the barrel in there. You gotta pull that all the way up. So you see what I mean by funky chicken? I'll do that in a minute. Let me get these other pieces connected. Where's my pliers? Yeah, you know it's bad when you have to have your fishing needle nose pliers out of your tackle box. Well, am I gonna have to stand up to get this on there too? I may. I just may. All right, come on. Come on. Get on there, Gertrude. It's going, it's just being slow about it. I may have to cut some of that off. Yeah, let me do that before I go any further, but I don't want that hose to kink. I do not want that hose to kink. I'll stretch that out a little bit. I've seen Chickanic do this right here 150,000 times, but she always wins, and I'm gonna win too, by golly. Well, I say I'm going to. I may have to. Hold on, guys. Alright, I about got it. I did have to end it. You saw me cut it off there, and it was a necessary thing when I got it on there. Now let me see about getting this other one on here, and then we gotta. Now see, that one there just slid right up on there. Now there's one in the back. I gotta turn this thing up like that and see if I can finagle that thing on there. Oh heck, that was the easiest one. Daggone. Now, see if I can get this booger on here. Yeah, the gasket's still on, still okay. I tell you right now, guys, Stihl has a poor design when it comes to this thing right here. It should not be this hard to put a carburetor on a trimmer. And I say that with great love and affection because I love Stihl equipment, but they should not see that. They should not make it this hard on a mechanic, whether they be experienced or not, to repair something. So I'm gonna do this the easy way. I'm gonna put this thing in there, and I'm gonna go like this is if I can slide that barrel in there. All right, guys, I finally got it again, like wrestling with an octopus. And guys, don't think that I don't know what I'm doing. I've done this 1,000 times over 25 years. But this thing is designed completely different of any trimmer I've ever worked on. So, okay, we've got the back line hooked, we've got the front line hooked, got the underneath line hooked. Now I've got to look at this gasket, make sure it's clean and in good shape. And it looks good. So then what we have to do is we have to press that on as we push the studs into the stud holes, and that should, yep, it just slides right on there. Now we're going to put the nuts back on it, tighten it up, and see what we've got. And before I go any further, to all the guys out there to say, well, it's supposed to be torqued down to so-and-so and so-and-so. I've been doing this for 25 years. I know mechanics have been doing this for 50 years. None of them torque the bolts down. They tighten them up where they're sufficient, they won't leak, and they go on from there. What you have to do is tighten them in succession. So don't leave me no comments. Well, the reason it's doing this, the reason it's doing that, because you didn't torque the bolts down. Baloney. What I like to do, I get it where it snugs down, where it's supposed to, like, you feel it draw up like that, and then I go and turn it another quarter of a turn. This one's already snugged down, quarter of a turn. And that's all you need. You don't need to draw it down until it strips something out. Now you inspect everything, make sure everything's the way it's supposed to be, and the carburetor is on. Now, I'm going to close this video out here in just a second, but before I do, I'm going to reset the camera, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys, that's it for the carburetor installation. I am not going to crank the machine up. The reason why is because I've still got another repair to do on this machine. Am I going to video that? Yes. These will be back-to-back videos, but it's completely different subject, completely different part of the trimmer, and I didn't want to include both of them on the video because it would be too long. So, that's going to do it for this one, guys. When I get the other repair done, I will crank it up, and we'll see the ease of the crank, the ease of the pull, and if the carburetor is leaking gas anymore. So that's going to do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I know I did. I learned I don't ever intend to tackle this task again on this 131R. I'll let somebody else do it. But anyway, this is Brian with Big South Outdoors TV, reminding you to live big, live southern, and live outdoors. Until we meet again, folks, have a good one.